So today we're going to talk about the Premiere Haven guide. This is going to be the last in this series for now. When Premiere fully releases or we get all the other maps coming in, I will do guides for those maps as well. But this is our final one for the beta of Premiere, and so let's take a look at Haven. Let's start off like we always do with our team comp, which is going to be OMEN, JETT, SOVA, Killjoy, and Breach. This is a very kind of strong comp, just kind of all-rounder comp, does pretty much everything decently well, and this is the comp that I would suggest playing because it's not like the most difficult comp to play, I don't think, and I think you'll find a lot of success with it. But if you did want to play something else, then these are some of the alternatives that I think you could go for. If you want to play Astra instead of OMEN, that's absolutely fine. If you wanted to play Raze or Neon instead of JETT, I think that's okay. You will lose perhaps some of your Oping power on defense. But if you are, an expert with those agents, then maybe that's fair enough. If you wanted to play Sky instead of SOVA as well, that's probably a fair enough change that you could make. And Cypher for Killjoy as well is one that you could do. But Breach, I've kind of left there as just playing Breach. Before we fully dive in, though, first I need to explain some of the things about this map. Okay, so Haven is a 5-lane map, right? There's 5 different lanes that the attackers can go towards the 3 different sites on this map. But you'll notice that 2 of these lanes are controlled by 1 point, and that is here in A lobby. And therefore, this point in A lobby is very, very important for both sides, but particularly the defenders. Because often what you'll see at high-level games, and in pro games most certainly, is the defenders will often try and get one person to just look down here, whether it be from long or short, to just get the information on this, which then means that if we've got one person only defending this down towards A, that means we've got 4 people for the rest of the map. And that makes our site hold really, really good on these 2 sites, right? If the attackers come to B or C and we've got 4 people kind of in this kind of square, then we're in a really good spot as the defenders. Now, you might be thinking, oh, 1 person to defend A, isn't that a bit risky or whatnot? But the thing is, if you're back here as the 1, or you're down here in short as well, so if we put a JETT on the map, as it commonly might be a JETT doing this, if your JETT is here or down here somewhere, A lobby here is a long, long way from the actual site itself, which means that you're going to get the time to actually bring rotations in if your player here does get pushed back, which will be fairly common, but you will have time to then rotate over as well. And if they don't get pushed back, as I said, then you've just got 4 people over here towards B and C, and that is what we want to be doing. So just before we get into the defensive setups, first I'm just going to talk about some general tips for OMEN and JETT. One is that the op is extremely good on this map, okay? So there are plenty of good opping positions. This is going to be one of them, down towards long and just watching over towards here. But also you can change it up here towards A and come towards short as well. Holding like this kind of angle is going to be really, really strong as well, and just kind of holding on a line. You might even tuck in even more here, right? And let them even come in and think it's all safe and then get that kill and then obviously, get out of there essentially as a JETT. Obviously being on top of this box with an updraft and whatnot, opping towards B, again, an angle like this where you're just holding this, kind of thing. This should be a shot that, probably you can hit as well. So yeah, something like that is going to be pretty good. Or again, over towards C, again, updrafting on top of this box. Again, something like this is going to be an angle where you probably should be favored. And, as the round goes on, you might want to start slowly creeping out, something like that. All of that is absolutely fine. And really, the only place where you're not going to be opping a lot is towards garage, but even if you really were feeling confident, you could even set up a situation where you do try and, get a quick kill and get out at the start of a round or something like that. Could be quite useful. But there's a ton of opping potential on this map, and so you should be trying to get an op basically as soon as you possibly can and into one of these very good positions. Now, my general tip for OMEN here is that you're probably going to be playing C a lot, right? And if you see a C long rush coming at you, obviously you have the paranoid, which is kind of perfectly formed to deal with any kind of C long rush. This is kind of the perfect utility to send at any kind of C long rush and will give you time to delay. However, if you are struggling and you need more time to delay, one thing that can be really good is a smoke just in front of you like this, right? This gives you the ability to cross between, back towards back plat here and maybe coming even up and trying to take a fight and being back across and then even being able to get out towards safety with a TP, something like this, right? So this smoke is extremely good and you'll be using this smoke a lot. You should be, at least, if they start coming towards C a lot. And you can, you know, TP in between the different sides here, and, you know, maybe you get revealed by a dart and they all start spamming you with utility. You TP across to the other side. You might come and live in the smoke. You might come and get a shorty and just be in here, right? Like, there's a ton of possibilities with this smoke, and so it's one that you probably want to be doing, because surviving on this backside is going to be extremely good on Haven. Well, let's start off with our first setup then, which is very much trying to get control of this A lobby area just here. So what we're going to do for this setup is our breach is going to be here down towards A link, and they are going to stun, send a full line down from A link across towards A lobby just there. And our Omen, this part is a bit optional, but what you can do potentially is send in this smoke. So our goal is to take control of A lobby. Now there's different ways that we could do this, right? We can send the JETT and the SOVA who will be playing on side. You can go and try and get aggressive here if you want to with this setup. You can just stay back here and leave your JETT in an angle like that, and let the SOVA rotate once you feel like it's safe, or the JETT could be in short and come onto this angle as well. And you don't necessarily have to use the smoke if you don't feel it's necessary, but particularly if you are getting a bit aggressive, you know, and you are trying to push up in these areas a bit more, maybe you will want to go for that smoke. Now our Omen is over here playing towards C. This will be quite normal for your Omen, and your Killjoy is coming in towards B, and now I will go through some of the specifics for some of these agents. And so let's start off with SOVA. And the dart that we're going to do is SOVA. We're just going to find the shadow on the wall. Just run towards this shadow so that we're something like this. You don't have to be completely perfect with it. And you see where this brick kind of just comes out here a bit? You're just going to aim underneath that. So something like there with full charge, 2 bounces, and just let it go, and it will land something like this. And this dart will come and scan A lobby, and obviously with the stun, potentially with the smoke as well, we're hoping to get that early control. Now, don't worry about that lineup too much, because you can just send a dart in like this, you know, just a straightforward dart. Honestly, something like that is absolutely fine. It's not going to make the world of difference. If you are playing against a Neon or something, you know, this could be a bit risky coming out here early on into a round, right? That a Neon might be able to kind of run around and find you pretty early and potentially pick you off. But if you're not, it honestly doesn't make a big difference. But if you want to flex on them a bit, then this is a pretty cool dart. Now for Killjoy here, what you're going to want to do, you're going to have 2 main turret spots for this kind of standard setup. One is going to be a turret kind of in like this, where it's going to see both towards the garage door, and it's going to see both towards C. The other one is kind of in a similar position, but just something like this, which is going to see out towards garage and is going to see towards C. So with the turret, you're looking to put it in one of these 2 spots most likely to deal with that. And then with your alarm bot and nanoswarms, you kind of have a bit of a choice. It's kind of up to you what you really want to do, right? With the biphase barrier here, you know, you could potentially like wait for the barrier to drop and put your alarm bot and nanos by the actual doors itself. You know, you could come and put them on towards C here, right? Just something like this is going to be perfectly fine if you wanted to. You could come and put it towards B. It kind of depends on probably what you think, you know, the opposing team is going to do, right? What you think the opposing team is doing. Are they coming to B a lot? Are they not, right? Are they just sending lurkers in B, in which case the alarm bot might be better there? It's kind of up to you as to what exactly kind of flavor you want, right? You might wait for the barriers to drop and, you know, throw a nano there by kind of the doors, and then as soon as you see contacts, you know, send a nano out like that. Like, all of those things are kind of fine, and it's really up to you and what you think the rest of your team is doing and what your opponent is doing as well, to which exact flavor of setup you actually want. And so this is going to be your first standard setup. And as I said, there could be slightly different flavors to it where, you know, maybe you do push up with this JETT a bit. If you feel like you're not seeing much in towards A, you could then, you know, rotate the SOVA, or your JETT could be here, or your JETT could be there. And particularly for your JETT, what you're going to want to do is get an op on this side very early. I think opping on JETT, on defense here, on Haven is going to be really important to your success on this side, particularly for holding down A, but just because there's a lot of good potential setups here with the operator across this map. And so your ideal here is just to get a JETT, hopefully with an op, looking towards A lobby, and then rotating across the other 4 players and having a very, very strong setup for the rest of the map. And if you do want to get aggressive here towards A, maybe you're on a save or something like that, something that you can do is potentially bring the breach from Link here across to A as well, and, you know, send the stun in here, and maybe your breach now you can, you know, really go and get aggressive with these 3 as you actually try and push up into a spot like this. You might end up with a setup that looks, you know, something like this, where, you know, you're really pushed up quite a bit here across all 3 agents. This is one where you probably do want to smoke this off. right? So you've got like, this could be fighting for orb control maybe, right? And you've got like a setup here where the SOVA might take contact, and then you swing and you swing. Maybe the breach flashes from this point, you know, something like that kind of setup. If you do want to go for a bit of an A trap setup, if they go to the rest of the map, then maybe you go for a fast flank. Okay, our next setup is going to be very similar, but this is going to be your full all-out A push setup. This is actually a good round, I think, for pistol rounds defensive side as well, where everyone but your Killjoy is going to be towards A, and you're going to send 2 players down towards short, and you're going to send 2 players out towards long. And the idea behind this setup, again, is we stun, we send in the dart, we send in the smoke and stuff like that. We're actually going to try and just like fully take A lobby here and fight them out, right? If they come towards A lobby, the opponents, we're going to fight them out. We're going to put the Omen smoke in here as well, and we're going to fight this. And if they start to hear noise, you know, going elsewhere or whatever, maybe we follow them, right? Maybe we just go for a big stack. And as I said, on pistol rounds, this can be quite good. For Killjoy here, what you're going to do is you're going to have a very passive setup with an alarm bot here on B. Maybe you don't have the nanos if it's a pistol, but you're going to have just the turret here. You're going to play very, very passive and basically just, you know, see, do they come towards you, and, you know, kind of, you know, you're just going to relay information essentially to your teammates as to what is going on and where the opponents are. Okay, for our next setup, we're going to have a completely different thing going on. We're just going to have our SOVA playing in towards A, who's going to do the normal dart. Now, your job as the SOVA here in this instance is to not take any fights. You are just looking for information. So you are just sending out darts when you can. You know, maybe you'll drone, but honestly, maybe not, because as soon as you really hear definitely more than one person coming towards you, you're basically just going to retreat, right? This is a full kind of retake A setup. You're not expected to hold down this site. You're just going to come back probably into a spot like this, right? And just check essentially that they don't actually push all the way out through A. You're just going to check that essentially nothing goes on. So you might start down towards A long, just peeking out. You might come back towards the site, just towards kind of CT and seeing what's going on. Yep, we see someone there as well. And then you just end back here as you wait for the retake. Now, for the other 4 here in this setup, you know, we've got 4 people here already towards B and C. And the reason that we go for these kind of setups is basically going to be all about the jet. And we can basically maneuver this setup around as well, where our jet might be on C instead. And we might move the pieces around a little differently to where, you know, maybe we've got an alarm bot here, and the turret is in towards garage, something like this, and our jet is over towards C instead. You know, this kind of might be our setup instead, but we could have our jet towards B. You know, it kind of depends on exactly where our jet wants to go, where we feel like, you know, they might go, you know, run into our op and whatnot. This is basically what all these setups are meant to be about. Okay, our next setup is going to be a similar sort of flavor. We're going for this retake on A. And by the way, retaking on A, Killjoy ults, breach ults, very, very good for retaking on A. So maybe we've got one of those ults. Maybe we're just mixing it up and we feel confident in our retake in A, whatnot. Again, we're going to aim to have some kind of jet op here down towards C with our jet holding that down. If your jet doesn't have an op, again, you could potentially swap this and put the Omen back towards C if you want to. But with, let's say we do have an op and we've got our jet there towards C. And again, we've got basically everyone here, right? And our Killjoy setup is just over towards A. And again, if they come towards A, no problem. We're just playing full retake. And obviously with pretty much everyone else on these other sites, we're looking to hard deny entry into those sites. And our rotates should be extremely quick to those sites. So just very quickly for Killjoy, what that will probably look like is you can just put a turret on top of the box, maybe. Honestly, it doesn't have to be anything too special. Your alarm bot as well, you might just, you know, come and put down potentially a kill setup, you know, something like this on the default plant, or, you know, some people like to plant over towards that, so you might put one there. You might put one on the choke point. It's kind of up to you. Again, there's really no right answer for this kind of setup, because if they do come towards A, you're not really going to stop them with that setup for too long, but that's pretty much all you're going to do. Okay, now let's come to a retake C example where, again, if we've got certain ults, we might want to be using this kind of setup here. Again, we're mixing it up. This time we're going to have our jet in towards A. Again, this could be towards long. It could be down towards short. Either is fine. And we got our SOVA there doing the dart. Again, our goal would be to kind of leave that early, and maybe we end up actually with a triple stack here on B, kind of ready to do a fast retake if we can. Now, our Killjoy setup here is going to be set up to kind of hold garage as best as we can, and our Omen as well might want to try and put a one-way over towards the garage door if we do see some presence there. So for Killjoy, our turret might be something like this. It even might be something kind of like on the logs here as well. Because really, our goal is for this turret to not really be destroyed until they are actually coming up in onto the site itself, right? We kind of, you know, don't want them to really know, like, you know, if we put a turret that's kind of too easy to destroy from far away, that might not mean that they're actually coming C. But if we put a turret something like here or here, that means that they're pretty deep in onto towards the C site. And it probably means that, yeah, they are actually going towards C if they've got that much space. But our goal, as I said, is going to be to hold down Garage, right? Yeah, if you want to come down C long, that's absolutely fine. But we don't want to give up Garage and C. So probably our Killjoy is going to be playing something like this in the Garage window or something like that, you know, with an alarm bot there, with the nanoswarms there, and you're going to try and just keep them out of Garage. And as I said, your Omen might want to one-way this as well. Okay, and then our final setup here is a mid-push setup. Can be very good with a SOVA ult, the old Fnatic push here. What you can do for something like this is your Omen and Killjoy. You might have a Killjoy setup in towards C, kind of normal looking setup there. But these two are going to push out of the garage door. Maybe you have a Paranoia coming like this. You also might want to smoke something like back this if you want to. If you want to go for something like that, but you don't have to. Your Breach is going to stun down here, down towards kind of the window. Your SOVA is going to do a dart that I'll show you in a second. And your JETT is going to dash up and try and get some kills. Now for SOVA, what you're going to do is you're going to come and tuck yourself in this corner in between B and C. You're going to aim just towards the sky kind of area here. You're just going to send a dart, 2 charges, just like that. And that's going to land on this back plant just there and start scanning people out towards this area. Now, if that does start getting pings, you're then just going to go for your SOVA ult, okay? So as soon as that you see 1 ping, you're just then going to SOVA ult in that general vicinity to try and help get those kills. As JETT here, you're going to be up against the barrier basically as quickly as you can be. You're going to activate your dash straight away. You're going to try and dash in towards this. The dart should be landing about now. The stun from the Breach should be around this point. You're then just going to smoke basically at your feet as the dart is going off and try and get kills from within these smokes. And then you're just going to quickly disappear. Okay, so the idea behind this play is to basically try and get, you know, a kill or 2 between the SOVA ult and the JETT pushing up there, or the Omen and the Killjoy potentially trying to get a kill out this way as well. And then you're just going to retreat back to a normal play, hopefully in a 5v3, and then you can just play the round from there. Now, one quick note on rotations and flanks, and obviously the spawn flank, it can be quite a bit of a trek, but you do have to be careful if you are rotating in through B. I'm sure many of you will know that crossing here can sometimes be very treacherous. If there is an attacker kind of lurking in towards this kind of area, you know, this is often going to be a free kill for them, so you are going to have to be careful when rotating this way. Okay, when talking about ults, obviously we just gave you a SOVA ult in that last example, and other SOVA ults you're probably just going to use like you would any other SOVA ult. For JETT knives, you obviously are just going to use them for JETT knives whenever you need. And, well, OMEN ult, well, you're probably going to be playing, as I said, towards C a majority of the time, right? This is going to be your domain down towards C, you know, doing all these different teleports or whatnot. That's going to be mostly what you're doing. And so when you're ulting, you're probably just going to use it as a fast rotate towards A if you feel like, you know, in towards heaven, something like that. Maybe in towards something like this, where it's, you know, towards kind of the A-link position, just to help you get there, you know, and help out your team defending on this A site. For Breach here, your ults are really good for these retakes, right? I mean, look at this Breach ult here that goes across kind of the A site. It's going to cover pretty much, you know, most of, or if not all the site, apart from maybe a little bit of hell there. So it's a very, very strong ult for retaking on A. It can obviously also be used to retake something like B, like this is going to be fine. But particularly for A and C, you know, these ults are going to be very, very good. Doesn't quite cover the C site as well as maybe it does the A site, but still, you can, you know, really ult quite a lot of the site here and you know, get a lot of tags going off as you scale in. So Breach ult's very, very strong for retake. And the reason that I gave you multiple A retake setups is not only the Breach ult very good there, but the Killjoy ult, if this doesn't get destroyed, this is the best Killjoy ult in the game. And if they don't have a SOVA ult or Brim ult, or they might know lineups to destroy this in this corner, but you can see, I mean, they can only go back to there, or they have to get pushed back all the way to A lobby. I mean, this is just an insane ult. If it doesn't get destroyed, if they do know some lineups for it, I mean, you know, just an ult like this is still going to be pretty good, right? Just putting it kind of out of the way of their maybe some of their lineups that they know. I mean, they're still going to get pushed back pretty far back here. Yeah, they'll get a bit more of a pocket to play from, but it's still a perfectly fine ult if it means that it doesn't get destroyed by any lineups there. And over towards C as well, I mean, there's still some decent ults in towards C. You know, something like this back corner here is going to be pretty good. This does have a little pocket in here just towards the back side, but you know, I mean, that should be pretty easy to kill a lot of the time, and that's going to push them back out towards the site as well. So Killjoy, all in all, pretty good on this map. In terms of retake utility, any kind of breach stun going across this kind of line is going to be pretty good. Same goes for an Omen flash as well. So just something like that is going to stun across that, stun the default, stun that corner as well. You can also come from heaven as breach and do some pretty nice stuns, tucking yourself over towards this corner. This is going to catch some of towards hell, and again, you're just going to stun kind of like a line towards a main there as well, and kind of send a stun out like that. That's going to stun across all of this. You could then send an aftershock in towards hell. You can even flash down towards hell as you want and drop down, right? So anyone in towards hell here is going to see a flash coming at them, right? Which also might blind people looking this way from there, and they're going to be aftershocked and they might be stunned. A lot of pressure coming from a breach doing something like that. But over here on this A site retake, very simple. You're just always going to want to come and put a dart in towards this, right? So you're going to basically aim just kind of above the end of that there, and just, you know, full power, just send it, and it's going to just stick on the end of this. And as I said, you can just see that from a link there, and it's going to scan basically everything pretty much. Really, really strong dart in general for this retake. And pretty much every time you retake this site, you're going to be wanting to do that dart just there. Very, very strong, and it's pretty simple to do as well. And yeah, it's going to be a pain for your opponents to deal with. In terms of the C retakes for SOVA, this is a famous dart. I remember seeing this when I first started playing the game. You want to come and tuck yourself into this corner just here, and you're going to be aiming for this. And you see how there's a lighter part and a darker part? You're just going to put your kind of first charge bar on the darker part there. One bounce, two charge, let it go, and that dart is just going to come and land up on this, and again is going to scan kind of all of this. Very, very good retake dart here for C. Now for retaking towards C, generally, I mean, you might already have garage control. Again, we can't really go into all the specifics, but you might want to come and retake garage, right? Again, these breach flashes can be pretty good in towards garage to come and take that first before you actually come back then on towards the site. But you might go for a stun, something like this, like just kind of across the way towards the default box, towards logs in general. An aftershock down here is going to be pretty good a lot of the time for anyone playing behind this box and trying to hide in that corner. That's a pretty good aftershock to use, although if you don't use it, another good one to use is obviously just kind of in towards this as well, killing anyone who's trying to play in there for the Postplant. So kind of depends on exactly the situation again, but breach util here on the C retake can be very strong as well. And for SOVA on this C retake, we're going to be coming in towards this corner. This is like an old famous classic dart, and what we're going to be aiming towards is, you see this kind of thing here where it's got the light and the dark. We're just going to be aiming to kind of the edge of it, basically there where it changes with our charge bar. So just putting it something like that, where we're kind of on the edge just there. One bounce, two charge, let her rip. And it's just going to come and land on the edge of this just here and scan out a lot of the site, essentially. Very little nice retake dart for SOVA. Yeah, that will be pretty good for these retakes. Okay, now let's come towards the attacking side and how we will approach the attacking side on... Okay, and now let's come towards the attack side here on Haven. Let's start off with our main attacking default here that we will be using, which is our A default, right? We talked about the importance of this square towards a lobby. Well, the idea that we want to do here is we want to deny that square from the defenders, and we want to obviously make it so that two defenders are here towards A as often as is possible, so that we have a 2-1-1-1 setup essentially. And Haven is a map where basically what we're going to be doing with our two defaults is making people go towards one side of the map to then potentially hit the other side of the map. That's going to be kind of a lot of what we do in a lot of these rounds. You know, be that we're starting towards A to then come back and hit a weaker B and C. That's something that we're going to be doing a lot. Or we might start towards kind of, you know, towards C and kind of the garage and kind of try and destroy some Killjoy utility and then maybe come back towards A. This is kind of the push and pull of Haven as it was. And so for SOVA, we have two different dots here, one for short and one for long. And the short one is very simple. You're just going to kind of aim in the general vicinity here of this space, and you're just going to do it with no charge, just a very quick little dart, and it's just going to come and land, something like this. And yeah, again, just check if anyone is actually pushing up here. Obviously, if they destroy the dart, we need to be a bit careful of people potentially coming up here. If they don't and they just let the dart sing, we still need to be careful. They might be tucked in this corner, but otherwise we should be good. And the long dart is going to look like this. You're going to come and stand at the edge of this box here, and you're going to be aiming towards this branch in general, and you see where the leaves on this branch kind of come down here. You're just going to aim kind of at the bottom of the leaves here on this kind of branch, just in this general vicinity. And what you're going to do is the old one charge and just let it go just there, no bounce, and that's going to come and land just here down towards long. And the idea is that this dart essentially can only be destroyed by people who are actually coming out here, right? Like, they have to be kind of out here, kind of in the open a bit, to actually destroy that dart. So if that dart doesn't get destroyed, it essentially means that you can cross this first part, nice and hopefully a bit easily, right? You should be able to get out into kind of this space. Obviously, if the dart does ping someone, then, you might want to try and kill them. But if not, that should mean that they aren't, like, fully out yet, and you should be able to maybe take this first initial space while still keeping an eye on short if you've done the long dart. Now, depending on whether this dart sees someone, obviously if it does see someone, you might want to try and maybe even stun them, and maybe even try and get a kill on them if that was the case. And again, this kind of depend on how aggressive the team against you is, right? Like, if they are a very aggressive team, you might want to be using that util a bit earlier on in the round. If they're a very passive team, you might want to save some of that util potentially for later as well. But you might want to go for a stun like this down towards long, particularly if someone does get scanned by the dart, or you feel like this is an aggressive team that will push if we don't stun, something like that, right? Or if you feel like, yeah, multiple people are here trying to push, all of those kind of things. Just get the general vibe of whether you need to stun or not, but if so, sending a stun down towards long is perfectly fine. Now for Omen, you've drawn a bit of a short straw here because you're going to have a pretty boring job of basically just checking that they aren't pushing towards C. Now, again, if you are playing a very aggressive team that you think will like to push you, you can go for this kind of little off angle here by teleporting on top of this box. This can be quite useful. And, well, if you do think that there is an op out towards A, then you might want to smoke that op off, right? So you might want to go for a smoke like this. This is a very common smoke for pro play, just something out towards this, kind of towards the bricks here on long. Just deny any of that vision. Again, even without an op, this can be a pretty useful smoke that you might want to do, particularly if you feel like they've got like a cracked player here who's just, waiting to push it and whatnot. That can be useful. Or again, if you think maybe the op is towards short or something like that, obviously just coming and kind of smoking off in towards short, that's going to be perfectly fine as well for something like that. Just allow you to cross and allow you to potentially get some of that space. Now for Killjoy here, you just want to come and put an alarm bot in the garage window there, and then when the barriers drop, you want to come and put your turret on top of the box on the hay bales here. This turret is just going to check if anyone pushes from here or pushes down towards mid, and between your turret and alarm bot, you should have a pretty good idea of whether that's happening. And again, you might just, be back here, kind of checking for that aggression, right? Maybe you take the time to spam the doors down. Whatever you want to do is perfectly fine. Just staying back here and staying alive. Now, if your team is struggling with short rushes in particular, what you can do is just do a setup something like this, where this is all going to be behind the barriers, and then the A barrier is about, this. And if you just aim at kind of like this point here, send a nanoswarm in and let that go, that's obviously going to dissuade anyone from coming towards a short rush, and they'll probably be back here, again, giving you that time to cross. Again, if you feel like you are playing against a very aggressive team who's pushing you a lot and punishing you here down towards short. Now, once you've got this early A control, and, we're going to assume here that your Omen and your Killjoy utility hasn't seen too much, you essentially then have some options, right? You've taken this A control, and so what you can potentially then do is you can start to come back and maybe do a B hit or try and do a C split as well. That's potential, and we'll get into how we're going to layer some of that utility for those hits. Or then you can come back towards an A hit as well, where everyone comes back. Obviously, your Killjoy might come and take the utility back and put the turret behind and whatnot, all of that kind of stuff, and come and do a full 5-stack A hit. All options are on the table essentially at this point. Obviously, if some of that Killjoy utility does get destroyed, then you might want to make a decision. Well, okay, maybe mid isn't that safe, and so maybe we'll come towards A. Whatever it is, right? Whatever reactions you feel are necessary, take the necessary precautions and go from there. Now, if we have taken towards long, some good positions that you can have is something like in this corner just here, just jiggle peeking, and have someone on a like high-low setup here where you're standing on top of this brick and someone maybe is crouching down here. So any push from short or any push from long, you guys can very quickly swivel to any kind of push from long as well. Then if you do decide to come towards a SOVA drone down here might be pretty useful as well, just to come and clear short fully here for you, and then you can kind of go for your exec from there and maybe send someone down short with the drone. Now, our second setup here is going to be a mid default, and this was going to be pretty similar. Our Omen might be doing similar stuff out towards C just there. Our Killjoy is going to do a similar setup with the turret here towards the hay bales. That's just going to check again if someone is walking down this way, and the alarm bot might be out towards A this time instead, just to obviously watch in case anyone does push all the way out of A. And your Killjoy here could be in a couple different positions, again, depending on how aggressive you think that they are. Your Killjoy might be tucked in towards the window, and if this turret does go off as someone is walking there, you could potentially swing this, or if someone pushes out of garage, you can help swing on them as well. But if you do think that this is the kind of team that will just push all the way out of A on you, then you might want to come back into an even more passive angle, something like back here by this box, just to check how far they actually do fully come out to you, and just keep an eye and basically make this your line of defense here that they can't come past. Your Omen is pretty much chilling, doing the same thing, and these three, the goal of this is just going to be to destroy what most likely is Sentinel utility here in towards garage, right? So that's generally where you will see some Sentinel utility, and our goal here is just to try and destroy it. It could be a turret, which you potentially could spam here as well. If it is somewhere in there, you can potentially, get an angle to spam this through the door if you want to, just like that. Obviously, it could be different Sentinels. It could be an alarm bot with a nano. So what we might want to do is obviously smoke off the garage window and just kind of poke and prod. Maybe we send a stun in as well, right? Just to kind of see what is really going on. And if we can destroy some of this Killjoy utility, maybe it's on towards B as well. Maybe we don't find anything towards garage, so we come back towards B and try and, see if we can walk up this way as a team and, just see if we can destroy basically that Sentinel utility that's normally going to be in towards B and garage. Now, one very important note, anytime that we decide to leave down A, right? So we haven't sent anyone in towards A, we're playing very passive there. This could be because we're going for this mid default, maybe we're trying to get an ult orb on C for someone at the start of the round. Whatever it may be, the drone is going to be very, very important, okay? And as soon as we use this drone, let's say we use the drone in towards garage, something like this. As soon as we use the drone like this, that probably means that we're not going towards A if we haven't taken that early A main control, right? So if we haven't taken early A main control and we haven't got A lobby control in particular, if you use your drone elsewhere, don't go back to A, because you will get punished by a team who knows what they're doing, because they will just be sitting in A and get that information on you very, very early and probably kill you, and that's not going to be good, right? So if we've left A at the start of the round, which is perfectly fine to do, there's nothing wrong with that, what we're going to often do is we're going to drone back A. And this can be done whether basically we actually come back to A or not, right? So a drone, something what I just did just there from this kind of spot, which is a very safe spot to be in, something like that is what we're often going to do. Now, the reason that we want to do this drone that comes out this way here is because, again, if they do have someone pushed up, be it here, be it down here, be it behind this box, or be it even in this corner, if they've got someone really pushed up on A and we don't know, obviously this is just going to be one person and there's going to be 4 people on the rest of the map, right? So we might not even be intending to actually go towards A, right? This could just be a drone so that this person who's watching this, be it with an op or be it with whatever, it's so that they get pushed back and it's so that they don't know if we are going to A. We might be going towards A. We might not. The thing is, though, this drone is just going to make sure that we aren't running into 4 people on the rest of the side of the map straight away. Our goal with this drone is to push you back, okay? Our goal with the drone is whoever's here watching A, now that we've left it and they've been there, now we aren't going to get caught out by them. They're going to get pushed back, hopefully, towards the A site. And then from there, hopefully 2 people then rotate over towards A, and we get an easier time going towards B, C, or towards A as well, because we don't want to get picked off by someone being pushed up. Okay, so now let's talk about our execs here. And as I said, you might be using a drone early on, kind of towards a lobby here, and just making sure that, you know, no one's pushed up. If you have defaulted towards A and you've got this early control, a good drone to do is something like this, which is going to give you short control, and you might want someone to come and follow this drone in for your A exec here, right? So something just like this that's checking these corners, and someone, maybe your killjoy or whatever, can come and follow that down towards short just there. In terms of darts we can do, again, we've got this early A control, this is assuming here, so we can come and stand by this kind of second window here. So there's one on the left of us just there. Stand by this window, and we're just going to be aiming for this kind of left-hand side of this circle, right? So we're just going to be aiming just kind of on this circle that we can see to the left side, one bounce, and send it just full charge, send a dart in like that, and that dart is going to come and land up here, and this dart is going to scan out, you know, a lot of the sites. It's going to ping out a lot of what we need it to, so a very nice dart. For breach here on our A exec, again, if you feel like you're playing against a ratty team where someone might hide behind this aftershock is very, very good, right? Just to clear that kind of angle out in general. But what you're going to do, your stun is basically going to be across this way here, just kind of towards the spawn just there, and clear out all this kind of short angle. So all of this hopefully will get caught by it. And again, if you do still have an aftershock in there as well, it's going to be pretty good. If you do have someone scaling up from short, right, just an aftershock in there is going to make it a bit more difficult for them. And then really your flashes here, your first one, as your jet is dashing in and will dash in, you know, kind of deeper onto the site, you're just going to be aiming for these boxes, right? So just a flash through the box there to allow your jet to swing off of just there. And then as you're coming in onto the site, you might want to flash for yourself as well. So something like this. As you then come in onto the site, your jet at this point should be somewhere like back here. So this flash shouldn't catch your jet. And then you can come and swing with it and, you know, obviously get those kills as well. For Jet, it's going to be pretty simple, right? You're just going to activate your dash. Obviously, you're going to be aiming towards kind of the right-hand side of this box. So, you know, somewhere in kind of there, that kind of range. And then, obviously, jump, dash. And what you want to try and do is clear out this close right corner here. You know, just take a little look over there. Then this smoke will be up as you're into it. And your breach will flash that box, as I said. And then you'll be looking to swing with that flash as you come through. The SOVA dart should have landed as well. And so, hopefully, you might even get flash revealed enemies, and that should be free kills. And then for Omen here, obviously you want to go and put in your two smokes just there, but your flash can kind of, you know, mirror this breach aftershock if you want to. You can send it a bit more towards the kind of default box as well, so something more like this might be a bit better, and just send in that flash just there, and obviously again, your jet hopefully can come up swinging with that and get some free kills. Now, as Killjoy, obviously what you've probably done is you've picked up your utility and maybe, you know, put it behind you, be it the turret, be it the alarm bot, whatever, right? If your SOVA does have this drone, I think the Killjoy being the one to kind of follow the drone and take some of this short control can be quite nice. And then essentially you just want to really wait. You know, the exec is mainly going to come through long, and so you're just going to be the backstab option. You're going to wait for your jet to kind of come up and around here, and then when the jet is kind of ready to actually turn and kind of face back towards short, that's probably when you're going to be kind of the second layer to this, right, and start to come up as well and kind of pinch on short from, you know, potentially the people coming in this way, you're coming in from this way, the jet should be coming from behind this box. You know, by that point these people in short should be absolutely kind of destroyed. You might also send some util at them as well, right? If they're just hiding in a corner, you could always use a molly or something, right, to try and get to them as well. So yeah, that's all on the table for you as Killjoy. If your SOVA doesn't have that drone and you have no idea what's going in towards short in general, you could use one of your turret or alarm bot, right, just to kind of put it down there and just see if anyone does actually push around here. And then if, you know, if not, then you can just kind of follow in and just, you know, go with the crowd and just kind of, you know, clear this out as a team and kind of wait for your team's utility and start clearing some of these stuff out. For our B exec here, it might look something like this, and for these B execs, I really don't like, maybe if you have like a SOVA or a breach or something, it's not too bad, but I really don't like the postplants when you just kind of smoke this off and just, you know, try and get the spike down and then all run away. Again, maybe on a save, it's not the worst thing, but for most B execs, what I want to do is send in a smoke in towards C-Link, but this deeper smoke here in towards A-Link, and we're going to try and actually take this area, as you can see, with a stun like this. Maybe you even, once you get to this spot, you Omen flash as well, you know, across here, and your Omen and Jet will try and fight for this area in towards A-Link here, and, you know, try and make that their kind of base to fight from. Now, your Killjoy here is just going to have the kind of normal setup, right? The normal setup that we've seen before. If you are planning to do this just off the rip, then you might go for something like a an alarm bot, something like that instead, right? Just to kind of watch that. And your killjoy might be in here, just kind of ready to kind of go for a garage flank in this kind of post plant. For your jet here, what that might look like, obviously, is again, just activating the dash, sending in that smoke. You might want to try and take a look to your left if you can, right? And just see if people are over towards that. And then you're going to be essentially, you know, killing anyone back here and then trying to take this area and space back here and kill them. Now, the dart might reveal someone backside as well, so you might want to go and deal with them. You might end up putting a second smoke down, something like this, and coming and running and taking this space where this omen smoke should be back here. For Omen here, it's obviously going to be the smokes in onto the site, so something like that. And then, as I said, you want to go for this deeper smoke kind of towards that box. And then you might want to TP across into this kind of area here. You should be kind of with your jet at this point. And again, if you know or see that someone is there, you might want to flash them, you know, and then come and try and take this fight. Or, as I said, there could be someone backside that maybe is getting revealed by the SOVA as well, so you might want to come and deal with them first. For SOVA, again, our dart is very, very simple. We're basically just aiming for the back side there, just putting it up on towards B. A dart, something like this, that just lands here at the back, that is going to scan, you know, quite a lot of this site, obviously scan most of back side there, and most of where people will be in general as well, from just a dart just hitting down towards the back. Don't worry about it too much if it slightly misses or whatever, but just any dart kind of like this, right, is going to scan, you know, quite a lot of the site here and scan, you know, all of these kind of areas as well. So, yeah, a very good dart, just doing something like that. And our breach, again, we're just going to aim to stun down this way just here for hopefully what is our jet and omen. Obviously, the further up we can get before we actually have to stun, the better. But don't worry about it too much. And again, this is quite an easy flash to do for them just there to allow them to push through. And also, you know, they might need help on the back side. Again, a flash just through the box there is going to be absolutely fine. And you also might want to go for an aftershock, something like this. Although you could save it for postplant as well if you are a bit worried about them coming through C. And our C exec, and this is a good one to just throw in as a bit of a pace change in general. So we might not default at all for this one. We might just go straight off the rip. In we go, and it's going to look something like this. So for breach here, what you're going to do is stand by the hay bale, and we're really aiming to punish people, anyone in here and anyone kind of in towards logs just there before coming and taking the rest of the site. So it's going to just look like a full stun, sending it down there. And then as you're scaling up here, your jet now at this point should be dashing in and should be landing here. And then as your jet is clearing this out and now starting to turn around this box, again, we're just going to go for that kind of flash around the box, maybe even a second one if we feel like they need it or our jet is dead. We might even send an aftershock if we know that someone's behind the kind of platform just there, in towards the platform if we feel like that's necessary. For our SOVA dart for this exec, what we're going to do is we're going to come and tuck ourselves into this corner. Very, very simple. We're just going to aim at kind of the top of towards this kind of mounted thing on the most right-hand side of it, just there. And we're just going to go one charge, and that's going to come and land at the back site just here, and give us a nice little scan of all of this towards the back site. And yeah, a very useful dart for what we're going to be doing. For jet here, we're just going to be sprinting down, and as I said, we're going to be aiming kind of towards the kind of default plan just there. So obviously dash activate, in with the smoke. Again, if you can try and check this left-hand corner, that will be very beneficial, because you're not going to have too much that otherwise might be helping out with that. So if you can, you know, take a look at that close left, and then your scaling is basically going to be, you're going to kill anyone here first who should be stunned, flashed as well, and then around here as well they should be stunned, flashed, anyone towards logs, so that should be pretty easy. Your breach flash should then be coming in as you're scaling up here, and again, anyone kind of towards this back side should be kind of revealed and flashed as well, so hopefully those will all be easy kills. Roman here, obviously you are going to do the two smokes, so you know, something like this, something like this. If you can do it whilst on the move, even better. And then you might want to come and flash in that way as well, and then your jet smoke hopefully will still be up for the time for you to be able to actually TP into it, in which case you might be able to come around a different angle and, you know, fight this together kind of with the jet there as they're coming in. And finally, we have our C split here as well. Now, this could be something that you do after an A default. So you might come and have picked up your alarm bot and put it somewhere like this. If you are the killjoy here, your turrets should still be there, though, because this is going to be important to make sure that these guys don't get flanked upon. So having like a turret here, or having someone watch that someone doesn't push out B as we're trying to do this, is quite important. If we do still have the drone, then that's going to be really, really useful for doing this C split, because the drone is going to be very good in towards garage, and you're just going to be able to follow it through. So for SOVA here, we want to be getting kind of close to the door if we can. You'll see why in a second. But just getting through the door, obviously clearing all of the close corners, stuff like that. And if we can, by just getting closer to the door, we're just able to just see fully around this corner and potentially clear that as well. Now from there as SOVA, what we might want to do is actually just hold for anyone coming back through garage, because that is going to happen often as our Jett and Omen potentially are coming up this way. You know, defenders are often going to want to drop out of the smoke potentially and come and try and kill those players. So what we can do as SOVA is just sit back here or maybe by this box and just kind of check for that actually happening and potentially get a free kill ourselves. Now, essentially, as Omen here, you're going to have a couple choices. Obviously, you are going to have smoked off both the garage window there and towards CT just here. And if this drone comes in and it sees that someone is in here in garage, well, then you can just flash them, right? And then your Jett can maybe even dash and try and get the kill here in this kind of little corridor just there. If this drone sees no one, though, and you come in here for free, the flash that you might want to do is to come into this corner and kind of flash across here, which is going to catch both the back of default and obviously catch people in towards logs as well. That can be quite a nice little flash. But Jett here, again, you want to be a bit fluid with your options. If this drone does see someone in garage, right, you can very quickly just, you know, dash in and then, you know, whether they're in that corner or whether they're in here, right, hopefully they're flashed by your Omen and whatnot, so you can potentially come and get that kill. If there is no one there, right, and you're then coming this way, again, this drone has hopefully cleared this corner for you, so you can see whether you need to be aiming towards that. And if not, again, you can just send a smoke, something like that, and then in you come again. Obviously, you'll need to know whether someone is there at this point, and then, you know, you're just scaling up for the site, waiting for your breach flash round here, and come in and try and get those kills. Now as breach, we're going to be out towards C long here, and again, we're going to be aiming, especially if this drone does see someone in that corner, to do this stun just across there. So again, sending a stun down here. Important though, it could be to send an aftershock towards this, right? This corner could be a bit of a problem for this C split here, so you want to, if you can, you know, if you feel like you found the timing to get down here, then that's going to be great. You can then do this aftershock and then do the stun. That's probably going to be pretty good, as your Jett then is coming around this corner here, should be hugging this angle, and then hopefully that guy who's in towards here can't be there because there's an aftershock on them and they're going to die. And then as your Jett has come onto the site and maybe dashed in onto the site, again, just a breach flash on the box, and you know, you scale around with it and you should get free kills. In terms of attacking ults, obviously the Jett ult and the SOVA ult, again, you're just going to use them in probably normal scenarios for those ults. Generally speaking, the A ult seems to be the favorite of a lot of pro teams for breach here, just doing an ult like this. And then you can actually come and stun the part that it doesn't hit, right? So you stun this way, you ult in that side, it kind of covers the whole site, and then you're just, you know, everyone should be stunned and you should be pretty happy with where you're going. Same is true, but an ult on a B site like that, the unfortunate thing is, you know, they might not have anyone actually on the B site, so it might not actually have that much impact. And then a C ult, obviously you need to try and get yourself into this cubby, which isn't necessarily going to be the easiest thing in the world, but again, same thing, you can just send an ult and then, you know, send a stun down here. It's all going to be perfectly fine as well. For killjoy lockdowns, obviously many of you will know about this one into this corner just here. Very good lockdown. Very good in a post plant, I would say. It might be actually a bit harder to come and actually have this survive kind of before you take the site, but once you've actually got the site, I mean, this ult is just going to be a free win in any post plant pretty much, because it's going to push them all the way back there. They're not going to have a hope in hell. Yeah, this is going to be a really good ult, particularly for post plant, but also for taking the site if you have this control and if you feel like you know you can defend it. Another common one to use is to actually come in towards garage just here and put it in this corner just here. Now, this does have a gap towards the back of the C site, but if you know that they have to be there, obviously all of you can go out and start, you know, swinging on these people back here who have to be there. And if not, then they get pushed a very, very far way back, all the way back to kind of the other side of B, and you can come and take the C site and plant the spike. Now for Omen ults, and you can add this in if you want to, but by no means feel like it's necessary, obviously the back of Spawn of Haven is quite big, and there's certain angles like this potentially, or generally just kind of towards this area, that might be a decent Omen ult, right? Where you might be able to get away with something like this every so often. Another one obviously is in towards Heaven as well, so something like this can be pretty good in general if you want that to be a kind of part of your exec, and then your Omen is in a really good spot to kind of pinch on these people in towards the A site. So yeah, all possible options for Omen. Do it at your own risk. You could die in a very, you know, stupid way by doing this, and that's the risk that you run with these Omen ults. Okay, now let's talk about postplants, and we'll talk about this A postplant first off. Obviously, some good angles. You're gonna often be in down towards there, and obviously a crossfire here between this and hell is going to be very, very common, right? As this person takes contact, and then maybe you're ready to swing out, or the other way around as well. This person could take contact, and these guys are ready to swing out. All perfectly fine. Breach in hell is very, very strong for these postplants. If you have an aftershock like this is extremely good. No one is getting through that. Don't worry about it. That's going to buy you a lot of time. Then if you have your stun as well, a stun just across like this is going to be very, very good, right? If you're forcing them to all come out through heaven, and even flashes through here as well are going to be pretty good. So breach in hell is a mainstay really of pro play. Very, very strong in general. Those are other angles that you could play. Obviously behind this box is going to be one as well, again, to kind of come off as soon as this guy or your teammate gets contact from either of those angles. The swing out from here going to be pretty good. Just hiding by this box. I know this is a boaster favorite of sitting by this box here, just kind of looking down up towards heaven. If you trust your aim quite a lot, then this could be a good angle, and again, you can potentially surprise and just come around there. I personally always like throwing in a sneaky optic angle. If you can get to this angle, it's one that people won't check. It's very, very sneaky, and yeah, you can maybe don't do it more than once, but you can do it potentially once and potentially get quite a few kills. And obviously the same is true from this other side as well of this, again with the contact play just here and here, and get kills like that. And obviously back here as well, kind of your more defensive postplant area. Obviously you're going to want to be checking for any flanks as well, so your killjoy might kind of be back in these kind of areas, or in towards hell, just down here as well, somewhere like this kind of areas. A killjoy is going to be good, and you can kind of flick between coming up here and down here and just checking on the flank. For B postplants, you're going to have a bit of a decision to make. If their smokes player is dead, then I would suggest just running all the way back, right? Just everyone kind of flood out, come back. If they can't smoke this off, then, you know, they're in a world of trouble, because between all the utility that you can potentially throw on the spike, you know, whether it's planted here or there, whatever, is going to be quite a lot, and it's going to be pretty good in general for you. I mean, you can even get an aftershock through this if you really want to, and that will actually hit the spike down there as well. So yeah, plenty of good options for you there. You know, just coming back, someone in window, someone down here, someone down there, right? Garage flanks on B postplants can be very good. So at some point someone might want to, you know, just try and reflank. Once you feel like the postplant is kind of coming to an end, you're going to probably be the last player alive, coming around here, right? And you know, as they're defusing the spike, coming and getting that final kill. Now for these C postplants, garage can be quite important, and if we have done a C split and we've got control and we've left someone in like this, that's going to be very, very strong for us. But obviously they have to be worried about a little reflank themselves, so it can get a bit tricky in towards garage. Again though, if we've planted, you know, the spike something like down there, if their smokes are dead, don't be afraid to just come and fight this as a team, right? If they can't smoke off that spike, then, you know, you're in a pretty good position. If you all just kind of come down long and just fight as a team, it's going to be pretty good for you. Obviously, you will have to worry about certain ults, like if they've got a breach ult and they come and breach ult you down here, yeah, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. But if not, and it's just a normal C postplant and they don't have smokes alive, then this is going to be a pretty good option for you to do. If they do have smokes alive, however, it can be very risky to do that, so you might not want to do that, right? Again, some good angles to play behind. This box, assuming it doesn't get aftershocked or something like that, is very, very good. Normally that's going to be a jet angle, because you are kind of stuck there if you want a jet, to be honest. But again, some decent positions if you do want to play aggressive in towards CT. Obviously coming in towards logs, you aren't really seen towards garage. Again, a bit of a one and done angle, but it can be absolutely fine. OMEN's TPing up there can be good, particularly if you do have garage control as well. Obviously sitting kind of towards this box. Again, if you got someone towards logs looking towards this, just towards the box here, swinging off them, then if the pressure comes from garage, you can kind of do the same, maybe tucked in towards this as well, just looking towards garage and kind of an off angle like that. All decent positions to play from in this C postplant. And yeah, as I said, if they don't have smokes, don't be afraid to just run all the way back here and go and get those kills. Also, one quick thing I should mention for Omen on both the B and C postplants is you can one-way off the spike, right? So just a smoke, something like that will mean that whoever is defusing down here can't see you, right? So you can just spam them, you will see their legs, you will obviously hear the noise of them defusing, and they can't see you, so you will get some free kills there. And you can come and do it on the C postplant as well by just putting a smoke on top of the box just here, right? Exactly the same thing. Anyone defusing kind of down here by the box. Obviously, again, they can't see you through the smoke. You'll be able to see them, and it should be free kills. Okay, and so I think that is it. Enjoy your last Premier game, everyone, on Haven. Again, there's a lot more I wanted to add to this video, but I just couldn't because we'd be going forever. So, yes, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you win your last game before the playoffs, and then, yeah, pick one of the maps that you enjoy, and so I think that is it. There's still a lot more that I want to add in, but if I do, we'll just be here for absolute forever, basically. Yeah, that's going to be it from me. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do have any questions or whatever, let me know in the comments down below. But I hope you enjoy your last Premier game. Hope you make playoffs, and I will see you next time.